If I had to choose between being successful, super successful, and not being able to go outside like an Eminem type person,
Right.
and working a regular job, I'd be working a regular job.
Really?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to take time to think about the stuff that I cared about.
Big Boy's
Big
neighborhood,
Boy.
beautiful day in the neighborhood,
Yeah,
man. We
man.
gotta welcome this man back to the neighborhood.
Back.
Vince Staples.
How you
Welcome
doing,
back
man?
to
What
the
up, Vince?
neighborhood,
Thank
man.
you for having me.
Man,
Always.
new music as well, though, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Hey, man,
sir.
is it a different creative process now? We had like kind of 2 years and some change in the house. Does that make you get more creative?
Yeah, I think it's more patience in the process
Mm-hmm.
and just trying more. Just being older, more aware of the world around you and stuff like that. Man, it's coming a lot easier and it's more fun than it's kind of ever been.
Hey, man, what does Ramona Park broke my heart mean?
So basically, I was trying to make something that can kind of parallel the growth that also sound
Right.
catchy and cool and stuff like that. But everybody got a home and everybody's experienced heartbreak or growth, as I like to say. You think about when you figure out Santa Claus not real,
Yeah,
right?
man.
And then you have another experience. Now you growing past that. Okay, this not the person for me. So who comes next? This not the career for me. What comes next? So I kind of wanted to have that kind of parallel of growth in which I learned in my community growing up. And where I am now is much different than where I was when I was a teenager.
Right, right. So when you and I feel that there has been a lot of growth with you. Do you grow in your music? You know what I'm saying? Do you write different today than what you wrote a couple years ago? Like
Absolutely.
even with FM.
Absolutely, because it's funny story. I don't think I ever said this personally. Excuse me. One of my older homies, he incarcerated, but he always call me every morning, and we talk about life.
You
He
got a
tell me
phone
his
in there?
books. You know it,
Yeah,
man.
man, ain't that
Yeah,
crazy?
man. Hey, look, man. If you from the hood, you got a phone, man.
Yeah,
I
hell
take care of
yeah.
the ones. But look, so he like, yeah, I can just tell in your music, like summertime '06. It was a lot for you to get off your chest, and then you felt like you was free, and then you was trying stuff with Big Fish Theory and just trying to make music. He said, but then my little homie had passed away. He said, you kind of backslid a little bit. It's cool, but I can
Right.
tell you was a little angry in certain things with certain lines. I can tell you was kind of feeling the way about everything going on. He's like, and then you just took a break because your grandma died. He's like, and after all that, like then you got your new projects. And I had never looked at it like
Was
that.
he spot on?
Yeah, but he informed me on something that I was dealing with in real time. You know what I mean? Because when you deal with stuff in real time, you trying to figure it out through the music and through life and through
Right,
stuff
right.
like that. And then I kind of it was just a crazy thing that music
Can you go
inform
back
so
and
much.
hear that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I remember after I put out my first album being Summertime '06, like I felt like, oh man, I did it. And you gotta think Norf Norf ain't really happened until years after that
Right.
project. So even without that success, I still felt like, okay, now people know that it's not just a East Side and Long Beach. Like
Right.
that's really
Hey
all
man,
I
when
cared
you
about.
say Norf Norf, do you feel like people say Norf Norf now sometimes, and that came from
Look, man, I ain't never hear nobody say North until
North? Yeah.
and it's except for Project
North
Pat.
Long Beach?
Yeah, except for Project Pat. No,
Right.
Project Pat. The term North North, you said that when we was kids, it came from a Project Pat song. And but other than that, I ain't never heard nobody say it. So it's a cool thing because like even if it's not on purpose, I just feel like it's a cool thing to be like, all right, man, I was a little ahead of the curve.
Right, right, right. You
Mhm.
see it now?
Absolutely.
Hey man, so doing the body of music that you have right now, bro, and like I was talking about how we had a chance to kind of sit down, what did you do besides the music? Do you still believe like man, I can't wait. There's no tours. You know what I'm saying? We're on shutdown. Was that easy for you to deal with?
It's funny though because like I said, when my grandma passed, I took a little break. I was
Yeah.
chilling, but
When did your grandma pass?
she passed, I think, right after we put FM out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, right after that. And it's funny though because like both my grandmas ended up passing. One passed at the beginning of COVID, and it's like it reminded me of what was important. And I always been kind of like not anti, but I don't let this control my life. You know what I mean? Like as we talked about earlier, like you gotta have time to be human. But me taking that break and then COVID happening and me realizing I didn't need these things
Wow.
as much as it might seem like you, because of course it's different for everybody, but I live a normal life. So it's like I'm fortunate enough to have the career I have. So the way that I live my life and just, keeping it simple, I was able to just not tour for 4 years and not put out no music and nothing changed. Except for my mind state. So I eased up the tension. You still hustling
But
like
you weren't
17.
tripping off of it.
Nah.
Right.
I was happy because you ain't got to hustle like when you're 17 and you in a 1-bedroom apartment on 5th and Temple with your mom and your sister and your nephew. So it's like it was different. But now with this time with COVID, like I was able to experiment and just play with stuff, figure out kind of where I was in life and where I wanted to be musically.
Has
and
it
trying to
been
make
4
those
years
connect.
since FM?
2018.
2000. Damn.
Yeah.
And had you been doing music still?
I did. After that, I didn't do nothing. I didn't do
Damn.
nothing.
Wait, was it more of a call of you not doing it, or do you feel like you was in a place? And I don't mean like a place of like depression. Were you just in a place that was it dark, or were you just trying to figure out things?
It was, you know, it's crazy. It wasn't dark. I feel like when bad things happen, like to me,
Mhm.
I don't really take nothing personal. So like when, a lot of people was passing, I remember my grandma was in hospice actually.
Mhm.
And she was my cousin telling me like, yeah, Bunny telling everybody in the thing that you in a Sprite commercial, don't nobody believe her. You know, it's hospice, a bunch of crazy old people. They just
Mhm.
in there talking, old people is, man, especially old black people. She on the
Right.
east side of Long Beach, and they
Oh.
just, oh yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? And it's funny, I had went in there once, and she was like, one of the ladies like, oh, I know who you is. I was like, yeah. She's like, oh yeah, you know my grandson. And it was funny because I'm thinking she talking about some TV or music or just anything like that. Probably one of her grandkids, something like that. But it's funny though because it kind of brought. It was like a reassurance to me of what actually matters, which is real life, your feet on the ground, and the people
Right.
that you surround yourself with. So it kind of gave me more confidence in me being like, yeah, let me chill and figure out what's going on in the world. And it's like, all right, you can only help so much by, giving out, handing out money.
Mhm.
So it's all right, if certain things going on in my neighborhood and some things going on with my family, my homies and things like that, I just kind of wanted to take time to think about the stuff that I cared about.
Mhm.
Like I moved out of being out around here, like LA. I stopped staying out here. I went back home and just kind
Mhm.
of like just got more in tune with what mattered to me, and it
Did
helped
you
the music.
know, Vince? Did you know that you were gonna come back to it, or did you feel like once you
Yeah,
get a detachment, like man, I can kind of do without this too?
I think it was both. Like I never stopped making
Right. Right.
music. Like at that point, I was trying to work on the Vince Staples show stuff because people. I just want to see if I can do it. And we took a little time. We did like some like little shorts and things like that.
Yeah.
Got with Kenya and
So that came together.
yeah. We literally, and COVID of course stopped a lot of TV production, and I
Right.
was really happy that mine was still in consideration. And literally a couple weeks ago, they greenlit us to go to the writing room and all the stuff, and got full series orders so we could shoot
Tell
the
us
whole
what
thing.
that is though, because
Yeah.
you said Kenya, but like
Oh yeah,
tell
yes,
us
yeah,
what
yeah.
that
Yeah,
is.
Ken Barris that
Yeah.
created Blackish and his company Collaborate working on us, working with us to do the Vince Staples show. He doing White Man Can't
What
Jump
is
right
that?
now. Basically, what I look at it as, so when you think about this area, this community, things of that nature, California in general, it's either Snowfall, Boys in the Hood, or it's Beverly Hills 90210.
Right.
And it's more to this area than just that. Like, when people think about, especially when it comes to gangbanging, they think people just outside riding around a car looking for people every day.
Yeah.
And what
That's true.
the way I like to explain it is like, all right,
Oh man.
90% of the time, nothing happens. 97% of the time, you paranoid. I mean, the 7% of the time, you paranoid, and 3% of the time, something might actually go down.
Right.
So it's like, what happens in that 90%? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what happens? What happens when things aren't like? I done had more experiences that was interesting than I had that was deadly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Life threatening.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you watch Snowfall, and it's like people think that that's just every day, 24/7. It's like it's not really that.
Right.
So trying to make The Sopranos.
And this is all like scripted.
Yeah,
Is it comedy, drama, or just a life thing where you can't like it's funny sometimes?
I think what we learn from TV, whether it's a sitcom, which to me is some of the best form of television, because Bernie Mac show, what I grew
Yeah.
up on, Fresh Prince, is real and it's funny. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you see that with Sopranos, you see that with Blackish, you see that with Atlanta, you see that a lot.
Mhm.
So just trying to parallel life, man, because everybody can relate to that.
Are you gonna
Mhm.
leave music?
I don't think you can ever leave music
Right.
because music isn't everything.
Right.
I think it's just a matter of, people tell me all the time, hey man, you should do television and movies,
Yeah,
or you
man.
should do a podcast, you should do this, you
Yeah.
should do that. A lot of the times the music industry as an entity will try to limit that because of course we're gonna tell you to focus on what we get paid on.
Mm-hmm.
But we have so many great examples of people who go outside of the scope in which they're traditionally seen, especially now with the internet. So like you see that you can do everything.
Right. Do you enjoy being like Vince Staples, or do you enjoy the so-called music business?
I don't deal with it.
Yeah, I can tell.
And I think we have a choice. Of course, you might miss out on some opportunities, but everybody got different value sets and different things that they care about. So with me, it's like, man, I'm getting paid more than I would probably get paid. It's like I'm getting paid like I went to a 4-year university,
Right.
doing good. So that's enough for me. Of course, I could be a multimillionaire and all this other crazy stuff if I did other things, but down on the line with put it like this: if I had to choose between being successful super successful and not being able to go outside, like an Eminem type person,
Right.
and working a regular job, I'd be working a regular job.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because you don't.
Damn.
And even with I mean, that's the pedestal that people put him on. It's not like that he
don't
climbed
want-
up there. Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
exactly. Because when you look at people like that and you listen to their music and just how they interact and the kind of people they are, they not superficial or super, especially you talking about Eminem, like he not a superficial person. He not somebody who cares about that element of it. He just really love hip hop music.
Are you on social media and all the isms that go on with music or just in our lives today?
I try not to be on it
Yeah.
as much as possible. Of course, that's how you have to market your
Right.
stuff, but I'm not living on it at
Right.
all. At all.
Do you talk with people on there?
Yeah, you know what? One thing I think is weird is that we, excuse me, when I was a kid, right? You see Double XL, you see The Source. That's all you know about an artist.
Right.
Interviews, all you see. That's all you know about an artist, right? So when you see that kind of stuff, now you can actually talk to your fans face to face,
Right.
and I think it's not utilized enough.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's not wrong. We don't gotta be above people. You know, you can be communicative with the people that support you. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
I would have thought that you would have want to take a step back away from it even more. You know, because now we know too much about the artist. We care too much. Not even the artist, just the people. Like,
you gotta
and what
look at it
makes
like
people
this, though.
famous now.
But it's not personal. So you put,
Some people think it is though.
But what I'm saying is this: from the artist standpoint, like you don't have to. If I know my consumer base and the people that support me is making, minimum wage, I'm not gonna go show them a big old house.
Right.
I'm not gonna go show them me on vacation. I'm not gonna show them a car, a watch, clothes. I'm not
Right.
gonna do that personally. But you can use that to speak to them.
Right. Yeah.
So my thing is, if somebody say, like, I repost everybody that buy my stuff, show me they bought a CD, and I tell them thank you. It's no reason to not do that.
Right. I hear you.
Especially when it's much easier for me personally, because you don't have to do that. You could have went and bought some Drake.
Right. Right.
Like, you get what I'm saying? So with me, it's like I use it more so just to have a direct line of communication with them, because that's the power of an artist. Like, when you sign a record deal or you sign any kind of contract for visibility, right? It's for people to connect you with your consumer base. That's what their job. The job of a record label is to put your CDs in stores, put your vinyls in, put your records in stores. There is no store anymore. The store is the internet.
Right.
So it makes no sense to not, be in some sort of commerce with your people. And you don't have to be over visible. You don't have to do nothing too crazy, but something as simple as, because at the end of the day, we can pretend that we're not doing it. But when you get a billboard at a streaming company, the first thing they do is ask you to post it on your social media.
Right.
So you might as well use that for the things that you also care about.
If you could go back and you had social media back then, which artist would you be posting that you bought their album?
Me personally, it's funny though, because I feel like I would have been more into music if I would have had social media. When I was a kid, we grew up in a point in time where you needed, it's past the CD player. Now it was like iPods and Zooms and stuff like that. I didn't have that access to them kind of funds. I ain't had that internet speed. I ain't had that kind of computer access. We had an old E-machine in the living room that was the kitchen in my auntie back house. So the music I heard was all on the radio or on TV or things like that. So I feel like social media would have had me more in tune with more artists, and I would have known more about music, and I would have probably, been connected to it earlier than I was.
What did you listen to? Like, and I don't want to say like, inspirations, but is there somebody that you do give a nod to? Like, yeah, they were instrumental, or I enjoyed that.
To me, it's not even just about my artist project. You're a person first, right? So I'm, of course, you can't say you grew up out here and not talk about the game, not talk about E40, not talk about the Pack Federation, not talk about.
You went all up and down the coast, right now. Hell yeah.
Bad Luck, Damani, Glasses, J-Rock, and I'm talking when we was kids. You know what I mean? Snoop, obviously, the East Side is obviously Dre, Ice Cube, Dub C, Mack 10. It was just so many people that was. Our music out here, it was more so. I've heard, when I was growing up, I heard 10 times more Snoop Dogg songs than I heard Jay-Z songs, because this is California.
Yeah.
So
same.
it's just being a kid and not realizing that, California love is like before my time,
Right.
because you was hearing it, so much and stuff like that. So it's just so many to pack. It's so many artists that you can point to, even Blue, Murs, Madlib. It's so many people.
Hey man, I also saw where you said something about like you didn't have the same Tupac experience that so many people have with Pac. And then I also do question some people it's like obligatory that they must love Pac. And I'm not saying that you don't, but you just say you didn't have the Tupac experience.
Well, yeah, it's like because my thing is when you from the same city as Snoop Dogg, you can't put nobody above Snoop Dogg. Period. It's not gonna happen. Like, how could you possibly? You gotta think, how could you possibly do that? What Snoop Dogg said on the intro to his album, "Stay on 51st, 30 blocks from the east side, and you stay on 68."
Right.
How is it possible to like anybody more than Snoop Dogg? And also, he wasn't alive. So when you see Snoop Dogg at a football game,
Yeah.
and you a child, he's the biggest rapper ever. You know what I'm saying? And also, he's been past my. I feel like a lot of times people just say stuff like, basically, fan, because we got hive minds, right? It's like somebody 10 years old, if they gonna hear their mama say Michael Jackson, oh, Michael Jackson.
Right.
Like, he been dead longer than you been alive.
Mm-hmm.
But we just hear those kind of things. And I think music is about experiences. And as a kid that grew up, these kids now grow up on the internet. So you grow up in a research facility. You don't grow up in a, when I was a kid, the Tupac song was Thug's Mansion.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
That had to be elementary school. You know what I mean? So my Snoop was active in transition, and I've seen East Side of Snoop Dogg. I've seen No Limit Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
I seen Pharrell Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, man.
I seen Central Seduction Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Like, so that was just something I was more connected to.
And what was the reggae dog with it?
Yeah, Snoop Lion.
Snoop Lion.
Yeah,
Snoop Lion, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that dude continues to go, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like Snoop Dogg, you don't even classify him. You don't even put him in a category. You just say Snoop Dogg.
I was having this conversation earlier. Somebody was like, "Yeah, man, why do you think Snoop is not ever stated when people talk about rappers?" And I think it's just because he's transcended. Like, he's just a figure of, American history at this point.
And they know his dog is one of them people that people know from 8 to 80. You know, I noticed one of the songs on your album as well is just titled DJ Quik.
Oh yeah, I love Quik, man.
Yeah. Hey man, why just that song is just titled DJ Quik? And I hear the ism in there too as well, but
my thing is I had that beat for a long time, and when I finally came up with the song, I kind of think of things at once. You know what I mean? So I just had the whole idea for the song. And that's one of my Dollars and Cents, one of my favorite songs. I love DJ Quik music.
Do you have to get clearance to even say some of that? Huh? Y'all handle it in court.
No, yeah, you do. But the thing about it is, like, I wanted Quik on the record, so all them scratches, that's Quik scratching. And he came in and, like,
was it almost done without Quik?
Yeah, it was the sample, and I wasn't gonna put the song out without him. Like, I told him, he'd be disappeared. I had to rash that, man. I got on Twitter like, "Hey, Quik, I'm looking for Quik."
Hey,
so
man, Quik is like a unicorn sometimes.
Yes.
You know, like there's times when Quik could really be around, and then
disappears.
Yep,
and
by choice too, though.
And I know people gonna say this sounds crazy, but when people talk about like almost like the torture genius type nature of like a Kanye West or something like that, you got to give Quik that same thing.
Yeah,
like,
man.
When you listen to the musicality in a DJ Quik song that was put out in the '80s, like, you can't ignore that.
Do you ever feel like Quik is truly, truly, truly underrated, bro? Like, as far as accolades and just everything.
Well, I think the thing about DJ Quik is, it always was just the music.
Yeah.
And we should that should be enough. But the world we live in, you need the mystique, you need the things like, you know what I mean? Snoop
you need all of this and that.
Yeah, Snoop done put out so much music, but they still talk about that case.
Right.
No matter how many albums he got, that's one of the biggest points of it, because you need that kind of thing, you know what I mean? So Quik never had none of that. He just had the music. But if you look at the eras in his career from, Safe and Sound and Can You Work With That to past that, like he had literally Quik had songs when my sister was a child, and my sister is in her 40s.
Yeah.
And Quik had songs when I was a child. That's hard to do when you don't have the kind of backing that these other artists got, or you don't got the kind of outside stuff. So I'm always sure love the Quik.
Hey man, Quik is a genius too, man. Quik is he is a genius. When y'all were when he was doing the scratches, was he in the studio with you?
He unplugged the whole board and then rewired it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that. I remember I had him mixing a project for me, right? And he was moving cabinets. He was under the board. He was running shit. Then I remember one time we were in Japan for sound check. And every group went up and did sound check. When he went up to do sound check, and this is Japan, they got beautiful sound systems, And he was like, "No, that's not it." And I'm thinking like, what? Like, this is banging from the beginning. And then he got off the stage and he stood in the middle of the club, right? And he told them to turn it on. And I remember he was like, "Nah, that's not it." And then he told me, he said, "If you're standing here and there's bodies in here, the music there's an X factor, like a cross factor, where people aren't going to feel the music the same way. I'm thinking it's Quik. All right, cool. What do we do? This he got up and rearranged the way the board was, rearranged the bass bottom, the speakers, and everything. And I'm thinking, like, man, what is he doing? We could be done. Soon as he finished what he was doing and he hit the same instrumental, 100%, bro. I've seen him do that.
Yeah.
This man told me, he's like, oh, man, y'all don't need to be mixing no music. I was like, huh? He's like, nah, everything that's on there is on here. He's like, you got a screwdriver? Never mind, I don't need it. He crawled under the thing, changed all the stuff. When I say he made a song sound like it was mixed by whoever everybody think is the best ever, like it was some Quincy Jones, Michael Jackson. And he's like, well, you can do this thing about Quik that I appreciate a lot too. He said, you can do this too. You can go buy this board and put it through these 3 channels, and it's $200 at Guitar Center. This what it's called. Write it down. He gonna give you information and knowledge.
Yeah, and not keep it for himself, bro.
Yeah, man.